Hey everybody, it is Krahmon again, back with another MTGA deck review. I wanted to do a more budget conscious mono red deck for everything, so I decided I would throw this deck together really quickly here. It's a standard red, just swarm control or field manipulation as far as damaging. This is just basically go for the throat as fast as you possibly can. And so up first we have our Fanatical Firebrand, classic. I love running this little thing. He's a great little speed bump. He's also a quick attacker, and you can tap and sacrifice him to deal 1 damage to any target. So if you go to block with him, you can declare him as a blocker. Go to the damage phase, trigger his ability to deal the extra 1 damage by tapping and sacrificing him as well. So he can still do potentially 2 damage to a target. So a 2/2 or anything with 2 toughness would go down. Or you could take out another with only 1 toughness. So really good option for that. Up next we have 3 shocks, classic. 1 cost 2/2. One cost 2 damage. Sorry. Then we have 3 Spear Spewers. This is a 1 cost 0/2 Goblin Warrior, and he has Defender, but you can tap him to deal 1 damage to each player. So this can be a way to really speed up the whittling process of your opponent's life, but it does hurt you as well. So you got to be a little careful with it. If all else fails and you're starting to get too low in life, you just simply use him as a defender. Up next we have 3 Dire Fleet Daredevils. This is a 2 cost 2/1 human pirate with first strike. And when it enters the battlefield, you exile target instant or sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard. You may cast that card this turn, and you may spend mana as though it was any type to cast it. That card, if that card would be put into a graveyard this turn, exile it instead. That's pretty solid. If they've used an instant or sorcery that you would really like to use, you can definitely use it there. Up next, Goblin Instigator. This is a 2 cost 1/1, and it generates a 1/1 red Goblin token as it comes into play. Swarm. Jump blocking, the usual. Then we have 3 Lava Coils. This is for creature burn, and it's 2 cost 4 damage to a target creature, and if it would die, exile that creature instead. Sorry. Then we have 3 Lightning Strikes, which is 2 cost 3 damage to any target. Viashino Pyromancer, 2 cost 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target player or planeswalker. This is a good one. And then we have 3 Goblin Chainwhirlers. Now this one, there's only a handful of... there's some rares in here, but there's only a handful. This is one of them. This is a 3 cost 3/3 first strike Goblin Warrior. As it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. This thing is great. It can be a board wipe for anything that's got 1 toughness. So very good. Legion Warboss, and this was a 3 cost 2/2 Goblin Soldier, and it's got Mentor. And sorry, at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a red Goblin token, and it gains haste and until the end of turn and attacks as combat if able. And Mentor is whenever this creature attacks, put a 1/1 counter on target attacking creature with lesser power. So it's really if you want to avoid having to attack with a goblin, you cast this in your second main phase after battle, and then the next turn you can attack with this and give the 1/1 counter to that token as well. So it's kind of nice. Up next we have Repeating Barrage. This is a 3 cost 3 damage to any target, And Raid, which for 5, return Repeating Barrage from your graveyard to your hand. Activate this only if you attacked with a creature this turn. This card is great for its returning ability. I'm finally up to 3 of these, and I thought this would be a good deck to run that in because I will continually be attacking if I can. Next, we have the Experimental Frenzy. This is a 4-cost enchantment. You can look at the top card of your library at any time, and you can play the top card of your library. But you can't play from your hand, and then you can pay 4 to destroy it. So it can eliminate top decking a little bit. The only thing I'm worried about right now, and I say this in all seriousness, I have found that with Experimental Frenzy and running 24 lands, I get flood. I get mana flooded because Experimental Frenzy continually is showing up mountains, and this isn't old school. I actually don't want to see those most of the time on the top of my library. There were some great combos with cards like that in the past, but this is standard. I don't want that. So, the only thing I can think of would be to eliminate, I'd say, 2, and then throw in... oh, wow, I don't know what I would throw in. It's actually a little tough. I didn't think about this when I started making this deck. I didn't think about that. I normally have been thinking about that ahead of time, but this time I did not. I could throw in those dual shots, but there's only 2, and that's kind of sad to me. That's all I have. Alright, let's see what else we got. Yeah, still don't. I've got nothing. Hold on. The Fire Urchin could be useful. Become a 2/3 trampler. However, I have no way to really boost the attack on a lot of these, so it would kind of go, you know, just not great for me. So, let's see what else we can do here. Wow, okay, I'm in the middle of trying to figure this out. Oh boy. Oh boy. This is actually not... I'm like having a really tough time deciding what would be the best option. And a lot of these are, I don't want to run one-ofs, so I'm not running them. Okay. Oh. Wow. I could throw in the Sarkons, but they just don't feel quite right for the deck design. So I'm trying to make this as budgetable as possible here. Could do that. Could do that. Yeah. Could do that. Wow. Let's see what else we got. I think I would actually rather run that. However, adding mythics to this is not going to help my case with the whole budgeting here, so... Wow, okay, I'm really having a tough time deciding. Because it's not only, like, I don't want to put too many, like, rares and everything in here. I also don't want to... Or I have to make sure that the cards are not overly expensive to cast as well, because my whole point with this deck is to try to go off on people early enough to where they can't respond, and by the time they start responding, I'm burning away their creatures. So what would do the best for that? You know what? Yes. Yes, we could. Okay, yes. Let's throw in the Warcry Phoenixes. Yes. And this one can be really nice, so. Especially if I'm attacking with a bunch of my tokens. So, yep, there you go. Another edit on the go, guys. We're going to throw in that Warcry Phoenix. And that is a 4-cost 2/2 Flying Haste Phoenix. And whenever you attack with 3 more creatures, you may pay 3. If you do, return Warcry Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield, tapped and attacking. Alright. Now, and the one thing I do want to point out, in any of these monocolor decks, I don't call out the mana cost for the symbols. I just tell you the total converted mana cost. And that's simply because I'm only working with one type. There's no point in me telling you how many symbols it requires. So, I'm sorry if that confuses anybody. Alright, so that was it with the main deck now that we've got that set up. And now on the sideboard we have 3 Tormenting Voice. And this is a 2-cost sorcery. Has an additional cost to cast it, discard a card, and you draw 2. This is pretty handy if you're finding out, like in your first match, it's not running as fast as you'd like. You're not getting enough cards to hand. You're not getting your enchantment to do so. Start running Tormenting Voice. Swap it in for some other, maybe even some of the burn. Up next we have Fiery Cannonade. This one is a 3-cost instant. Deals 2 damage to each non-pirate creature. This can be great. Especially considering I have in the deck one... I do have... Oh, well, no. I've got 1, 2... Well, okay. I have 2 different creatures that are pirates, so it at least wouldn't get damaged. Up next we have Goblin Warchiefs. These are just in case I really want to. I'm really partial to the old Goblin decks, and I loved my Warchiefs, so that's just a personal preference. It doesn't have to be in there. Goblin Trashmaster, sorry. This is a 4-cost 3/3 Goblin Warrior. Other goblins you control get +1/+1. And sack a goblin, destroy target artifact. This is primarily actually in here for artifact removal. If you want to mainboard these, you can, but I would mainboard them as 3, not 2. I only have the 2, so. Then we have 2 Siege Gang Commanders. Again, very similar. I love this card. I only have 2. I prefer running 3 of this one because he's really good. Now, if I was doing Modern, I would be running Krenko. And if you don't know Krenko, you'll have to look that one up. It's a great goblin. Alright. The Siege Gang is 5-cost 2/2 goblin. When it enters the battlefield, you create 3 1/1 red goblins. And you can pay 2, sack a goblin, and it deals 2 damage to any target. So, good for removal, good for ping, it's awesome. Or good for blockers. And then we have 3 Banefires. Any red deck, this is going to be there. Alright, So anyway, guys, that has been the long, rambling review of this new red deck that I'm working with. This one can be a lot of fun. It's only got, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I got 22 rares for the whole deck, which is actually pretty small compared to some of the other decks that I've ran into. But this one's got a nice early game, late game. You're more worried about just burning the rest of their life away. So this has got a very quick, this was basically a. I want to say this is like a machine gun deck where you're just firing off as many creatures early and spells to damage. So, anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you like seeing these videos. I enjoy making them. They're simple to. The videos are simple to make. The decks are not. So. I do appreciate anybody that watches these. And if you want to see more of these, feel free to stick around. I've got a lot of these on the channel already. There will be more. There'll be more gameplay videos. So, as always, I enjoy having anybody here and everybody here. And I'm going to go before this gets any more cringeworthy. Anyway, thank you for hanging out, guys. And I will catch you in the next video. Later.